Lesson 90, Expressions with bring and take. Hello, and welcome to this lesson. Today, we are going to learn useful phrasal verbs and fixed expressions formed with bring and take. Many of these expressions have meanings that are different from the meanings of the individual words. A. Phrasal verbs with bring. To bring someone up means to raise and care for that person during childhood. For example, my father's parents brought him up in the country because they thought country life was better for children. To bring something off means to succeed in doing something difficult. For example, do not give up. I am sure you will bring it off in the end. To bring something on means to cause an illness or unpleasant condition to start. For example, cold winds always bring on her cough. To bring something about means to cause something to happen. For example, the strike brought about a change of government. To bring something out can mean to introduce or release a new product. For example, Ford Motors is bringing out an interesting new model in the spring. To bring something back means to reintroduce something that existed in the past. For example, I hope they do not bring back capital punishment. To bring something down can mean to reduce or lower it. For example, they promised to bring down taxes, but they have actually raised them. The same phrasal verb can also mean to remove a government or powerful organization from its position. For example, inflation will probably bring down the government. To bring someone round to your point of view means to persuade that person to agree with you. For example, keep trying to persuade him, and you will bring him round to your point of view. B. Phrasal verbs with take. To take after someone means to resemble an older member of your family. For example, does he not take after his father? They even sound the same. To take something back means to withdraw something that you have said. For example, I wish I could take back what I said to her. To take something in means to absorb and understand information. For example, it is difficult to take in his lectures because he speaks in such an abstract way. To take someone in can also mean to deceive that person. For example, she was completely taken in by him and agreed to give him all her money. When a business or activity takes off, it begins to improve or become successful. For example, sales have really taken off now, so we should make a good profit this year. When an aircraft takes off, it leaves the ground. For example, the plane took off 2 hours late. To take someone off means to imitate that person's voice or behavior. For example, she is very good at taking off her teacher. She sounds just like her. To take on staff means to employ people, while to take on work means to accept it. For example, we will have to take on more staff if we are going to take on more work. To take over as manager means to begin doing the manager's job. For example, Nelson is going to take over as manager in July. To take to someone means to like that person immediately. For example, she took to him at once, and they soon became close friends. To take up an activity means to begin it as a hobby or regular interest. For example, when did you take up golf? C. Common expressions with bring. When a law or regulation is brought into force, it officially becomes law. For example, the new regulations will be brought into force in May. To bring something to light means to reveal information that was previously unknown or hidden. For example, his research brought some very interesting facts to light. To bring matters to a head means to make a situation reach the point where action or change becomes necessary. For example, matters were brought to a head when Lily was dismissed. To bring something into the open means to make it public. For example, it is better for everything to be brought into the open. To bring out the best in someone means to have a positive effect on that person and encourage their best qualities. For example, his new girlfriend has really brought out the best in him. Common expressions with take. To take advantage of someone means to use that person unfairly for your own benefit. For example, do not let him take advantage of you. To take someone for granted means not to appreciate that person or their good qualities. For example, after 20 years of marriage, he takes her for granted. To take something for granted means to assume that it is true or certain without checking. For example, I took it for granted that you would come. You always do. To take control of something means to begin organizing or managing it. For example, she immediately took control of the situation. If something takes your breath away, it surprises or impresses you greatly. For example, his unkind words took my breath away. When a story takes place somewhere, the events happen there. For example, the story takes place in Mexico. To take a risk means to do something that may have an uncertain or dangerous result. For example, leaving his job before finding a new one means that he is taking a risk. To take something seriously means to consider it important or worthy of careful attention. For example, it is impossible to take such a silly suggestion seriously. To take something into account means to consider it when making a decision or plan. For example, do not forget to take travel costs into account in the budget. To take pride in something means to gain satisfaction from doing it well. For example, he does not seem to take pride in his work. To take the opportunity to do something means to use a suitable chance to do it. For example, you must take the opportunity to visit the castle while you are here.